Hey guys, this is Miss Sebastian. We're going to look at ratios today. So the first problem says the ratio of cows to pigs on the farm is 6 to 1. What is the possible number of cows and pigs on the farm? Drag the number to each correct or each appropriate box. So I'm going to write down, it told me cows to pigs were 6 to 1. Okay, so I want to find something that's an equivalent fraction to 6 to 1. So I could say, okay, 6 times 2 is 12. I don't see any 12s down here. So 12 to 2 would probably not be an option. If I multiplied 6 times 3, I'd get 18, but I don't see 18 down here. 6 times 4 would be 24, and I don't see that. Okay, 6 times 5 would be 30. Well, that may be an option. 6 times 5 would be 30, and 1 times 5 would be 5. Oh, we have a winner. So you can double check that. 6 times 5 is 30, and 1 times 5 is 5. Okay, now we're going to look down at question number 2. Okay, the ratio of markers to crayons in an artist's collection is 4 to 3. So I'm going to write this as a fraction just because it makes it easier to look at there. So which ratios are equivalent? So I'm going to write our first one, 20 over 15. So we can check to see if this is equivalent by looking at what we'd have to multiply the top by and do the same to the bottom. Okay, so 4 times what gives me 20? I can multiply by 5. So if I multiply the bottom by 5, it also gives me 15. So I would say that that's an equivalent ratio. Okay, let's try our next one. 4/3 and 12 over 6. Okay, so if I wanted to look at 4 times what gives me 12, that would be 3. If I multiplied the bottom by 3, that's not going to give me 6. This would have to have been 9. Okay, so this one is not an equivalent ratio. Okay, let's look at our next one. We always start with our 4/3, and we're going to check 12 over 9. Well, right here, we already decided that if I multiply the top by 3 and the bottom by 3, I would get 12/9. So this is an equivalent ratio. And then our last one, 4 over 3 and 6 over 8. Well, I don't know anything I can multiply 6 by but 1.5. Okay, it's not a whole number. But if I multiply 3 times 1.5, I'd get 4.5. So that's not 8. So that one is not going to be an equivalent ratio. Okay, let's look at number 3. The ratio of black cars to white cars in the parking lot is 9 to 2. So I'm going to write that here, 9 to 2. What's the possible number of black cars in the parking lot and white cars in the parking lot? Okay, so I'm going to pull down our other page because it kind of cut it off just a little bit. So now you can see we've got 3, 8, 9, 22, 28, and 36. Well, if I look at this, I would look for 9 and 2. I don't see that. Okay, but I do see 9 times 4 is 36 because I would look for 9 times 2. It's not there. 9 times 3, it's not there. But I do see 9 times 4 is 36. Is 2 times 4 down here too? Yes, it is. So 36 over 8. And all I did was multiply both of those by 4 to get that equivalent fraction or that equivalent ratio. Okay, now let's go to number 4. Okay, Henry spent 15 minutes reading and 60 minutes playing video games. Okay, select all the ratios equivalent to the ratio of time spent playing video games to, okay, video games was 60 minutes, to the time spent reading. That was 15. Make sure you follow the order that these are in. Video games was mentioned second, but it was mentioned first in our ratio. And reading was mentioned first in our sentence, but second in our ratio. Okay, so we've got 4 over 1, or 1 over 4. Well, if I multiply both the top and the bottom by 15, I do get 4 over 1 is an equivalent ratio. So I know right off the bat that 1 to 4 is not. Okay, then I've got 4 to 1 or 1 to 4. I know that my bigger number is coming first and my second one does not work there. Okay, so this one is the ratio of the rectangle's length to its width. So I'm going to look up here. It says a rectangle is 45 centimeters long and 15 centimeters wide. So 45 to 15. Make sure you keep those in order. Okay, so that's also 45 over 15. Does this simplify if I divide both the top and the bottom by 15? It simplifies to 3 over 1. I do see that here. Can't be that one. And then I see 3/9 or 9/3. Well, I could divide both of these by 5. And get 9 over 3. So I would say that is our equivalent ratio there. Number 6. Sarah read 12 pages out of the 20 pages in the chapter. Select all ratios equivalent to the ratio of the numbers of pages Sarah read to the total. So the total was 20 and she read 12. So I'd say that's a fraction of 12 to 20. And our choices are 3/5 or 5/3. So I'm going to look up here and I'm going to say, okay, well, I can simplify this as far as it can go by dividing both the top and the bottom by 4. So when I divide by 4, I do get 3/5. So I know that 5/3 is not an option, but 3/5 is. But I also see 6 to 10 or 10 to 6. Well, I could simplify this just by 2. And I get 6 over 10. So I would say this is an equivalent, but 10 to 6 is not. So this is all about just simplifying. Okay, so which ratio is equivalent? 8 centimeters to 20 millimeters. Now make sure that you are looking. This does say millimeters, so you need to change it to centimeters. Okay, so millimeters, we've got to change this, and this will be 8 centimeters to 2 centimeters because there's 10 millimeters in every centimeter. So now I can simplify this to 4 centimeters over 1 centimeter by dividing both top and bottom by 2. Okay, so I do see 4 to 1 right there. They tried to be tricky by doing 8 to 20, but remember we have to watch that millimeters there. Okay. Number 8, which ratio is equivalent? So I've got 400 meters to 1 kilometer. Now I have to change 1 kilometer to meters. And I know that the equivalent of 1 kilometer is 1,000 meters. So now I can simplify that to 4 over 10, or simplify that even further to 2 to 5. Okay, so I know that that is my answer. And then last we've got 12 yards to 20 feet. So I'm going to change them all to feet just because I think that would be easier. This one's staying the same. But yards, there are 3 feet in each yard. So 12 times 3 gives me 36 feet. Now I can simplify and get my correct ratio. So I can simplify both of these by 4, and that would be 9 over 5. And I do see this ratio here. So that's how you are going to solve your ratio problems.